up, YouTube? Today I'm going to bring you guys a Dark World deck profile.
Don't lose your way, your mind, we have to be as one.
Dark Worlds are actually one of my favorite decks of all time, so I'm so glad to finally get to a point where I can go ahead and update it for you guys. First off, we have, of course, the 3 copies of Grapha, Dragonlord, or Dark World. Grapha is your main beat stick in the deck. It can special summon itself simply by returning any Dark World monster you control except itself to the hand. It's also your primary form of removal. Typically in Dark World decks, you don't see cards like MST, at least in the main deck, because it breaks your hand a lot when you're drawing them off of Dark World dealings. So Grapha is the main reason even decks even like decent. It really is a great boss monster. Then of course next we have 3 copies of Snow, Unlight of Dark World. Snow is basically your Stratos. So whenever Snow is discarded to the graveyard, she allows you to search any Dark World card, including herself, and that's really good. She's also level 4, which means you can use her to make rank 4 plays. Then for the next 3 monsters, we have Brow, Huntsman of Dark World. Brow, whenever he's discarded, he allows you to draw a card, so he replaces himself. But the great thing about Brow is it's also a Dark World target. It's also a Tour Guide target, which means, and it's a level 3 fiend, which you'll see why that's relevant later. Next up, we have 3 copies of Beige of Vanguard of Dark World. Beige got put back in simply because I wanted something that could be normal summoned with Grapha out and be able to bring it back. Plus, it makes rank 4 plays a little bit easier. Whenever Beige is discarded to the graveyard, it special summons itself, much like a lot of the high level ones. Now, this is where it kind of goes a little bit weird. We have 2 Lucents and 2 Lanthanums. Now, you might say, okay, why are you playing these over Gold and Silver? Well, the reason is the rank 6 pool is really much better than the rank 5 pool. There's just not enough good generic rank 5s to justify it. That being said, you don't play these, you can always play the standard 2 gold 1 silver ratios and play transmodify as well. I've done that in some of my previous builds. The non-Dark World monsters, we have, of course, Tour Guide and Skarm. Now, you might say, okay, Aura, why are you still playing Skarm, Tour Guide's at 1? Well, Skarm searches level 3 fiends, which means it searches Brow. So, Tour Guide into Skarm is still not a bad play in this deck, even with Tour Guide, firmly sitting at 1 on the Forbidden list. Next up, we have 2 copies of Fabled Raven. Raven is a card that I really still enjoy in this deck, even without the heavy Fabled engine I've been playing in the past. Basically, you can discard cards from your hand, any number of cards from your hand, and it will gain a level and 400 attack. It's a tuner, which means you can use it to make cards like Star Eater, for example. It just really puts in work. And that's all the monster lineup. For the spells, we have 3 copies of Drag Down into the Grave. Drag Down, pretty much in standard Dark Worlds, is a 3 of in every list. Don't really think much about this. Basically, this allows you to get knowledge of what's in your opponent's hand and ditch whatever their best card is. And then you make your opponent play the game of which one they want to discard a card out of your hand. And then, of course, we have 2 copies of Allure recently freed off the ban list. Allure is a little bit of testing I did do with this deck. Allure really puts in work. It helps the draw power now that Upstart Goblin is limited. And of course the obligatory 3 copies of Gates and 3 copies of Dark World Dealings. These are basically your draw engine and your discard outlets. Gates allows you to buffs up all the fiend monsters and allows you to banish a fiend monster in your grave to discard a fiend and draw 1 card. The dealings makes each player draw a card then discard it. Basically, these 6 cards are your primary ways you're going to get your discard outlets, and they're both searchable via Snow, which is really important. And for the last spell, we have 1 copy of Foolish Burial. Getting your Grapha in your graveyard is obviously really important to set up, so I don't really need to talk too much about that. Now for the traps, we have 2 copies of Storming Mirror Force. Oh my gosh, this card at locals against the Monarch player I was testing against really put in work. Basically, this card I feel like in this deck is a lot better than Quaking because this deck can actually put a lot of board presence on the field. So it's one of the reasons I like Storming over Quaking, at least in this deck. Then we have 2 copies of Dark Smog. These are back in here because at 1 I didn't really see it enough. So 2 is kind of the good number because you'll see it, and there are a lot of graveyard dependent decks in the format right now. And then the Virus partners have 1 Eradicator, 1 Deck Dev. Deck Dev is something I've put back in the main deck for testing, and it's actually really good in certain scenarios. Eradicator, obvious reasons it's in here. It's a blowout card, being able to knock out all your spells or traps, especially with the card demise decks, and being able to some decks just fold when either of these cards resolve. And then we have 1 copy of Fiend Griefing. This card's a little interesting. It allows you to shuffle any monster in your opponent's graveyard back into the deck and then send a Fiend monster in your grave from your deck to graveyard. This is kind of a little techie choice for me. You don't really need more than one, but I kind of like it the few times I do resolve it. And then last card is one copy of Skill Drain. Skill Drain I'm a little iffy on because it's not, like, obviously not great against Cosmos and those other decks, but it's one of my favorite all-time cards. So that's why it's in here. You can always play something else. Now for the extra deck, we have one copy of Beatrice, Lady Eternal. This card opens up so many just nutty plays with this deck. Being able to consistently load up your graveyard with your Grapphas and your Skarms is really, really good. I don't play the Pilgrim Fusion, but it's Dark Worlds. You have the room in the extra deck, so if you do want to play Pilgrim, you can. Then we have, for some of the rank 8s, we have one copy of Titanic Galaxy, copy of Felgran. These cards are basically here to kind of keep your board protected. Harbinger being able to negate board wipes is really good, and Felgran being able to keep be able to a little bit more disruptive is really good. Then for the last rank 8, you have one Heretic Son of Lord of Heliopolis. Every time I don't have this card in my extra deck, I regret not having it because it allows me to clear. The fact that it doesn't target gets me out of so many just little pickles, at least, that I get in this deck. For the other rank 6s, I have one Photon Strike Bouncer, one Constellar Ptolemy, M7. Bouncer's effect to be able to negate any monster effect and burn your opponent for 1,000 is really good. And then M7 allows you to bounce annoying stuff and recycle your opponent's stuff. Or your stuff. So now for the rank 3s, of course, we have, Dark Wolves, so you're playing Levier, and I'm Fortune Tune, and I'm playing one Fortune Tune. Levier is obvious. It allows you to recycle a lot of your banished targets and makes Grapha easy to go into. Fortune Tune is an interesting card. It allows you to, when it does Bite the Dust, it recycles 2 level 3 monsters in your graveyard, and then it's immune to targeting effects, and it protects itself. So the main thing about Fortune Tune, the theory behind this, is Tour Guides at once. This allows me to reuse her. Now for the obligatory rank 4s, we have Dark Rebellion, Exceed Dragon, Abyss Dweller, 101, and Castell. Don't really need to talk too much about these. These kind of sort of speak for themselves. And then for the Synchro monsters, we have one copy of Clearwing Synchro Dragon. Clearwing is really, obviously, an amazing card, and being able to keep your Grapphas in itself safe from cards like Castell, and 101 is really good. And then one copy of Cyframe Lord Omega. Omega isn't the easiest card to go into, but my theory with at least Omega in this deck is that I banish a lot of stuff, and I like putting that banished stuff back in the graveyard. That's why I play Omega. Of course, for the last Synchro monster we mentioned earlier, one copy of Star Eater. Star Eater, being able to make Star Eater with, and having a board with like Star Eater and Grapha and a couple Graphas is just nuts. And I love this card because when it attacks, your opponent can't do anything. It's unaffected, and it hits the field, your opponent can't do anything. So anyway, guys, let me know down in the comment section below what you guys like do you guys like this Dark World list? Do you think it's good? Do you think I should change some things? Let me know down in the comment section down below. And like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys later.